Hello everybody, welcome back. I had a lot of questions that involved this same topic, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with those questions, and hopefully if you ask a question that I'm not talking about that has to do with this topic, that I will be able to answer your question anyway. Okay, here we go. First question comes from Amber Coy on Twitter. She asks, do you think it's okay for parents to pin their children in the middle of their fights, have them pick sides? Amber, thank you so much for asking this question because I know that a lot of people deal with this, parents and kids both. It is a difficult topic. And no, I think that it is very not okay to fight in front of your children, especially to drag them into an argument and try to make them pick sides. So how do you resolve arguments without involving your kids and without doing it in front of them? Shay and I are not perfect at it. You guys see all the good stuff on the Shay Tars, but we do argue. And there are times that arguments arise and we're in front of the kids and we disagree on something. But what we've really tried to do is, if I disagree with something that Shay said in front of the kids or how he's parenting or something, I try to bite my tongue and wait and let him parent, and then I will take him aside later and discuss it with him and say, you know, I didn't really agree with how you did this. And he will do the same to me. If I handle the kids in a certain way and he doesn't really agree with it, he won't just jump in and take over. He will take me aside later and say, you know what, I really think that we should try to do this next time. If we do it that way, then we have time to think about it. We can sit down and discuss it in an adult, mature way instead of just flying off the handle and yelling at each other. But one very important thing that you cannot forget is you can't forget to talk about it. Like if you bite your tongue and you don't agree with something your spouse is doing and then you never say anything about it, that's not good because then it's going to blow up at some future time and it's not going to be in a good way. If you can discipline yourself well enough to handle arguments in that way, your kids don't see that disunity and they will see that mom and dad are going to try to be on the same page no matter what. And also, it also filters out the things that are really important and the things that aren't. Because let's be honest, there are some things that you argue about that are just not important. It's just silly arguments that stem from being too tired or just being ornery about something, and it's like dumb things. And it takes discipline. It's really difficult because sometimes it's hard to keep your mouth shut when you really should. But that's part of trying to find unity in your marriage and in your family. My next question comes from Amanda Curry on Twitter, and she asks, my husband and I are going through a divorce and custody battle. How do you deal with the stress in front of your kids? Thank you so much for asking this question. I know this is something that a lot of people are dealing with, parents and kids alike, dealing with the stress of divorce. And though I've never gone through a divorce myself, I do know many people that have, and many people that are very close to me that have experienced it, young and old. And I think that through watching things happen and through watching their experiences and listening to them, I do have a few things to say. In many divorces, things can happen that create a lot of anger and resentment and hurt between couples. Ugh, I don't envy anybody who's going through this. I'm so sorry if this is you and this is your situation. What I've concluded is that when two people get a divorce, regardless of who hurt who, what happened, you know, how much they hate each other or whatnot, the kids still need to feel like they can love both parents equally without feeling guilty, without feeling like they have to pick sides. You may hate each other, you may feel very hurt, there may be issues that are just awful that are happening between you, but if you can, in front of the kids, remain respectful and don't backtalk each other or badmouth each other, then they will be able to feel less stressed. Because divorce is stressful anyway. They're going to be stressed out because you're not going to be together anymore. But if you fight in front of them, if you talk bad about each other, they're going to start to build up walls against both of you. And I know that this can be very one-sided sometimes. Sometimes one spouse is totally in the wrong and the other one's not. As hard as it may be, I promise you, if you can do this, your kids are going to see you as the stable parent and they're going to feel safe. You're going to help them to be able to handle the stress of this happening. And in the future, they are going to thank you for not dragging them into it because it's not their fault. That is so difficult, I know. As I'm saying it, I'm like, oh man, that's hard. But if you can remain the bigger person, I promise you, your child will love you for it. Your child's going to be able to formulate their own opinion and be able to decide how they feel based on the facts of what happened. But they need to be able to do that without you interjecting your emotions and your opinions on them. And I realize you may need to vent about these things. You probably need to talk to somebody, but please don't make it be your kids. Find a friend, talk to your parents, but don't vent to your kids or in front of your kids about your ex-spouse, because that's only going to create confusion and conflict between you and your child. That's my opinion, and I've done a couple takes of that because it's really hard to say how I feel, because my heart goes out to you guys who are going through this. It is difficult, and it's not only difficult for kids, it's difficult for parents, it's difficult for everybody, but there is a way that you can lessen the blow of divorce by just being calm and respectful and doing your best. Just keep trying to be a good parent. You're doing good. Just hang in there. All right. Whew. That was a hard one, and I'm sweating now. I love you guys. I'm so sorry that if you are experiencing this, it sucks. But life is going on, and it will go on, and I promise you it will get better. I love you all very much. Please keep commenting, and if you have any questions for me, stay tuned. Watch my Twitter. I'll be asking for those shortly. I love you. Keep a smile on your face. See you next time. Last time I asked for Twitter questions, I got a lot of flies. It's right there. I'm like, oh, you get out of my chute.